Hi everyone, Tess here, and I've got another printing project for you. So this week our newsletter was all focused on our second launch of our Jaipur collection. So we added a few new blocks to the range, and the Jaipur collection we originally launched a couple of months ago, and it was all designs, fabrics and paints that are inspired by our Jaipur trip. So they may not be your kind of traditional Indian designs like paisleys and very detailed blocks. These are kind of all shapes and patterns and things, but they're designs that really remind us of our trips to Jaipur. And these are the designs that we use when we're in the studios in Jaipur printing. So kind of things like these like straight lines and borders and just very simple patterns, but they create something really amazing. So I've got to show you today a printing kit. So we launched the scarf printing kits with our original launch of the Jaipur collection a couple of months ago, but I wanted to go through something that you can do at home, and I thought the scarves were a perfect project. So I'm using a kit. So this is our kit. Now it comes in two different colorways. We've got the rustics, which is kind of like the browns and oranges, and then we also released the blues. And both kits are a bit different. They contain different designs, but they all contain a mixture of the different Jaipur collections. So you get a whole mixture of blocks. So I'm going to be using the blue kit today. So it comes in your nice Indian bag, and in here you get a full list of instructions as well as a picture of the finished item. So this is really good to help you with your designing and your printing. So you can follow our pattern if you want to. You've got your lovely scarf. So these scarves, we got them made fair trade in Jaipur, and they're an organic linen cotton blend. So they're quite an open weave in a natural colour, but they are absolutely gorgeous quality, and they make such nice presents, or if you want to print one for yourself. And then in the kit you get 6 designs. So you get a mixture of 6 printing blocks from the Jaipur collection. These are quite new designs, so you might not have them at home. And you can also mix any other designs into the set that you might have. We've also got 2 paints, which is Midnight Blue and Indigo Blue. And they're both fabric paints, and you get your 2 sponges. So I am going to show you how to print this. Because it's using kind of repeat designs and designs that we haven't, often used before, I'm just going to show you a couple of tips of how to get the best print. And I'm going to change the screen around so you're looking overhead, and then we'll get printing. Right, so now I've got everything set up on my printing table. So I've got my paints and my blocks out. I've ironed my scarf just to remove any creases, because it does make it more difficult to print when it's creased. And also for this design, because the scarf is quite thin, being the linen cotton blend, it's got quite an open weave, I've put a piece of paper underneath just to catch any of the paint that goes through, so that when I move it down it doesn't stain my scarf. So just have something underneath to catch the excess paint. And then I'm on a padded table, but obviously at home you'd have either your yoga mat or large camping mat underneath you. So you'd have something so you're always printing on a soft surface and not the solid table. Now with this kit that we're using, it comes with a picture of the scarf, so you can see which design the design that we've done on the scarf, so you can follow this. And then like always, you want to have a practice. So I have printed with all my blocks, especially when they're new, you want to test them. So printed with them all, made sure they're all printing well. And then I've done this piece of practice. So I've copied the design on the picture, and I've recreated this on here so that I've had a go with all the blocks and I know what design I'm doing. So I'm feeling ready to start my scarf. But you do want to make sure you practice with these designs, especially as they are repeat, so you're going to be lining them up. You really want to make sure that you're getting that continuous print with no gaps or anything. Now also, I'm going to use masking tape, and that is to hold my scarf down to stop it moving when I'm printing, but also it keeps the edges really nice and clean, as you don't want to have any messy painty edges. So I'm just going to masking tape round these 3 sides to hold it down. Right, now that that's taped, I'm ready to get started. So first of all, with our design, we've got this solid straight line, and I'm going to do that in the darker blue at the bottom. Now, where the scarf gets made into tassels, it goes slightly inward. So I'm actually going to start my scarf a little bit higher so I get that straight line. if I do it right next to the tassels, it's not a very straight line. So pick the bit that's a bit higher, and then you'll just have a little blank gap at the bottom, but that doesn't matter. So obviously make sure that you've had a practice and everything and you're confident with this. So my first one, I'm gonna overlap onto the masking tape so I get that the print goes right up to the edge. And I've just masking taped the very edge of the scarf just to keep a clean line down either end. So I'm gonna start with a slight overlap onto the masking tape, but that's gonna catch my paint, so it's no worries. So give that a good wiggle and up. And you will find that it's a little bit different if you printed before, because this is such an open weave, you know, that it does feel different to how it would normally seem, like it's quite patchy and light. But what I tend to do with this straight line is I quite like to double print it. So I'm going to do one more print. And then what I might do is I'm going to go back over, and you just got to be careful when lining this up, but I'm going to print over the top again, just so it comes out that little bit darker. And it would just give you a little bit more of a solid print. So again, line it up. Now you might not feel this is necessary to do, but sometimes I just like it to be a bit stronger. So this just puts a bit more paint on. Now be careful not to move your scarf, because it's so thin it does move quite easily. That's looking good. And again, now just stick to your straight line. Now, lots of people ask when we're doing straight lines how we get them straight, and I just do it by eye. As long as you're following a line, then it's definitely going to look straight. Yeah, as long as you're kind of sticking to a line and you make your own straight line, then you shouldn't have any problems. So that is my lovely solid line to start off. Now this is straight to me, and this might be slightly off, but this looks very good. So that's what I'm going to use for my next print, and that's what I'm going to follow. So this is going to be my straight line, and my other designs are going to go off this line. So that's your first line. So next up in the design, we have the large stripe block. Now this is really good to print with. I love a striped block, and it looks so good printed. But you do just want to practice it a little bit, because it's just getting used to lining it up. So again, I'm going to slightly overlap, and I'm going to get my first print lined up properly. So make sure you look overhead, look on top of your block so that you can see the bottom of it. Just making sure you're getting it straight. So give it a really good wiggle and then up. Now this one I wouldn't double print because it would be so hard to line it back up, but that's okay. So now with this one, I tend to put the left-hand corner down first, looking overhead and just trying to get that lined up all the way up. There we go. And then just keep going with that design and just trying to make it as straight as possible to your bottom solid line. If you do go off course slightly, we can always fill in any gaps or anything with if you've got any little gaps, you can always fill them in with a paintbrush. So I'm going to need 2 more prints on the end here. So you can see it has gone slightly off of the baseline, but because it's a scarf that will kind of flow, you won't notice that little bit of extra space. So they've all kind of overlapped slightly, and I seem to have kept the line going, so I'm really happy with that. Now I'm just going to do a little half print at the end and overlap onto my masking tape just to get a really nice clean finish. And there we go. So that is my large stripe block done. Right, so next up we have our large spot, and I keep swapping from obviously do the 2 colours because we're only using 2 colours with this scarf. It keeps it very simple, so I just tend to do dark light and just keep swapping between the colours. So I'm going to do the solid circle now. So you kind of, I don't really work out how many I'm going to fit in. I just tend to get printing and then might have to squeeze one in at the end, but that doesn't matter. So I'm going to put this down and give it a good wiggle. Now, because this is a little bit more of an open weave, I might hold this down for a couple of seconds longer, just so that the fabric it is touching really takes the paint on. That came out really nice. So I'm going to print the spots all the way along until the end. So I have got a little half print on the end. Obviously you could work this out slightly better than I have, so you don't have any half prints, or you have a half print either end, but I don't really mind. So I'm just going to do a half print there and overlapped onto the masking tape. Now you could double print this if you wanted to, but mine's actually come out very solid and I'm really happy with the colour that's gone down on there. So I'm going to leave it like that. And onto the next one, I've got our thin striped one. So this is very similar to the larger lined one you use. And this is maybe a little bit easier to line up because you're just lining up two straight edges. So I'm doing this one in the indigo. Just make sure you get the paint all over this design, and I'm going to start right up the edge. I'm not going to overlap onto the masking tape. And again, I'm going to be using my circles as my straight line, so looking over ahead to make sure that this is going as straight as possible. And obviously, because the design, you know, the blocks are hand carved, they're not always straight themselves, which can sometimes be a little bit annoying, but you just want to do the best you can. So I'm going to try not to move my scarf because it's such thin material, it kind of moves very easily, and you don't want to kind of distort your prints. So over the head again. Just all you need to do with this one, this is actually a really easy repeat to do. Just line up this straight edge with the last one you did, trying to get the spacing similar to what's in the design. Down, give it a wiggle, and up. So perfect. And next we have our large outline circle. So paint on that one. And then I might try and just quickly work out how many I can put on here. So let's do a finger width apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a half. So what I might do is do a half print either end and see if that works. Now I absolutely love the simplicity of this design. I hope you do as well. It's just very simple lines and circles, but it creates such a beautiful pattern that's really simple. And this is a kit from our Jaipur collection, which some people might say, oh, they're not really traditional Indian prints. You know, in India, you see a lot of very detailed paisleys and big blocks and things. But when we're in the studio in Jaipur and we're printing alongside the artisans, we quite often stick to these patterns. These are what we use when we're printing there, because they have all the big spots and circles and stripes. And that's what we use there. So for me, this is very Jaipur. This screams India to me. And this is the printing that I like to do. These are the patterns and shapes and things. I like just making designs out of these very simple patterns. And it's just so easy to do. And I just think it looks gorgeous. So that's why it's been called our Jaipur collection. And we will continue to add more designs to it, and also some more detailed ones. We're hoping to do a couple of 3 and 4 color prints. So you've got a design that's made up of 4 different printing blocks, and you print them on top of each other to build up a design. So we're all working on that at the moment. Our carvers are busy doing some designing. But for now, we've got these beautiful shapes that you can just create something so simple but very detailed with. And these scarves are gorgeous to print. They are such nice quality. They're an organic linen cotton blend made by artisans in Jaipur. So we found these lovely scarves. So they're really light to wear, but they're quite large, so you can wrap up warm in them in the winter, but also you can wear them in the summer as a shawl. And it's slightly off-white, it's like a natural colour, but looks really beautiful. It's really nice not being bright white. Just that slight creaminess really adds a nice kind of classy quality feel to the scarf. So I've done my half circles, now I'm going to fill it with my solid. So I'm using indigo for the inside. And you just want to line it up properly, make sure you're getting dead in the circle of it, of getting straight in the middle of the solid, of the outline circle, sorry. Now, to finish my design off, I'm actually just going to do a row of small spots along the top. So with these scarves, we've just printed the bottom two ends, just to keep it very simple, keep it plain in the middle, but just the detail on the bottom. But you could absolutely carry this design on all the way, along the scarf and print the whole thing. Or you could just do some dots and things in the middle and just print the two ends with this design. So it's completely up to you, but I'm going to finish my design off with some small indigo dots. Nearly done with this now, and you can see just how these very simple designs have created something beautiful. So I've only used two colours for this, just so that it's very kind of neutral. These two blues work really well together, so I kind of wanted these to be a bit more subtle. You'll obviously see that we also do this kit in the rustic colour, so that's in these kind of more browny tones, which I've got here. And this is using a different set of blocks. So, you can absolutely mix and match and things. Also, if you like this kit, but you want to get one more block from the collection, then you can, buy the kit plus an extra block, and then you can add that in to create, an even more detailed pattern. So now that I've finished, with this, I'm going to leave it to dry for, 10 minutes before I untie it. So just let the paint dry, and as it dries, it almost gets darker. So we're going to leave it for 10 minutes before moving it, and then we will turn it around and quickly do the other side. So I've left this for 10 minutes to dry, so I'm ready to take off the masking tape now. And we can see what it really looks like. Like I said, we just used the paper underneath just to catch any excess paint that came off. It just keeps your table a bit clearer, and also because of the such big weave on this scarf, a lot of paint goes through, so you can see there's quite a lot of paint being caught, so that's really good to keep that out the way. And there we have it, beautiful scarf. So now that I've removed the paper, it actually looks a lot darker and the paints have come up a lot brighter, but I'm so happy with that. So you can see just on the end of the scarf, that works really well, and you don't really notice the kind of half prints and the full prints on either end. It just works lovely. But if you wanted to, you could go higher up. But I'm just going to switch it now. I'm going to iron this, and then I'm going to masking tape it back up and print this side quickly, exactly the same as I did the other end. And I'll fast forward it, and then I'll show you the finished result. And here is our finished scarf. So I've block printed both ends now in the same design, and it's totally dry, but I'm going to wait another 20 minutes and then pop it on the ironing board and just iron directly over the paint with a really hot iron. You can even have it on steam. That can sometimes make it a little bit hotter, which works really well. And iron all over the paint just so it gets really hot and sets it. And then I will show you what it looks like on. So my scarf has dried and been ironed, so it's completely heat set and ready to go in the wash if I need it. If I was going to wash this scarf, I'd probably put it on a delicate wash as the material is quite thin, and I just put it on a really low temperature. But obviously the fabric paint is completely set now from the ironing, so it's totally washable. So there we have it. So you can see the two beautiful ends printed. You could do more in the middle if you wanted. I have got another scarf here. This one I did continue to print the middle as well. So it's completely up to you, but I hope you've enjoyed this project. And these are just a couple of other bits I printed with some blocks from our Jaipur collection, these new cushion covers, which you'll be able to see on our latest newsletter or on the blog page on our website. So I hope you've enjoyed this project, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!